Grammarly keeps updating. For some reason, my intro is no longer valid. Screw that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 136 of the longest tenured Denver Nuggets spin off podcast in the world. Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets' Serbian Corner. My name is Miroslav, and before we begin, please let me remind you to like the video on YouTube, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the DNVR Sports YouTube channel and DNVR Nuggets podcast channel. The audio version is perfect for your commute or to make your office/home office time more bearable. If you want to support the show more directly, you can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/MiroslavCuk, just like my Seco tier supporters Peter Plummer and Daniel Lynch. Patreon supporters get access to ad-free shows and will get exclusive material from my second trip to Denver in less than 3 weeks. See you soon, Colorado. Let's start with a weekly recap. First, the Houston game. The Nuggets traveled to face the Rockets, who were the hottest team in the NBA with 9 straight wins, without the help of the best player in the world. The host team started strong, but Jamal Murray was feeling well in this game. He was amazing through 3 quarters, scoring 34 points before the final frame. 5 other guys were in double digits, all the starters plus Russell Westbrook. The Nuggets played excellent team defense, limiting the Rockets to 34 three-point attempts, which is amazing considering those guys looked like the outside shots were all they were looking for, good or bad. They just didn't care. As a side note, regardless of how bad the offensive process for the Rockets was, I still have so much roster envy on their team. Like, are you guys really playing Jabari Smith Jr. for only 16 minutes? But I digress. Jamal was completely dead in the fourth. He wasn't able to bring the ball up and couldn't find a clear shot over 5'11" Fred VanVleet. It didn't matter since 6 different Nuggets were able to score in the fourth and bring a very surprising win to the end of the road trip. The Bulls game, Jokic-less, Gordon-less Nuggets started this game well, created a solid lead in the first half, but lost it completely by the end of the second quarter because the scorching hot Jamal Murray got into early foul trouble. The third quarter ended in a tie, despite bad rebounding without DJ late because of Peyton Watson and Jamal Murray's offensive output. The fourth quarter started well, but the Nuggets got destroyed in the minutes with P. Watt at the 4 and MPJ at the 5. I just don't get how anybody thought that was a good idea. Even when DJ returned to the court, rebounding remained a problem for a very simple reason. I get yelled at the rec center when I don't box out guys, so imagine what should happen to the young professionals who just don't do it. Dalen Terry and Jalen Smith destroyed the Nuggets in those moments. In the end, DJ flirted with a triple-double. Jamal and Peyton were great. Russ gave us the full experience, but the MPJ's shooting disaster class combined with another atrocious defensive night was too much to overcome. Bucks game, Milwaukee came to Denver without Giannis and Dame, and just when it looked like we're going to get a starless game, Nikola Jokic surprisingly returned and, of course, dominated. His 39-point triple-double will be forgotten, but his pass to Aaron Gordon in the second quarter will live forever. Michael Porter had a great shooting night, which he rounded up with some great passing. Jamal Murray had a great performance, but only worked half the shift. He was invisible in the first half. Christian Brown and Peyton Watson also enjoyed playing with Joker again. The defense wasn't good again, so it was a relatively close game, but I'll take any wins during the March dog days. Finally, the Jazz game, the team from Salt Lake City came to Denver determined to capture the flag of a Cooper kind. They played without 3 of their starters, and the Nuggets were without the help of Jamal Murray. Michael Malone started the game with a 5 of Brown, Watson, MPJ, Gordon, and Jokic, which might be the biggest starting lineup of the Jokic era, outside of that Orlando Mickey Mouse reality show experiment. That lineup held Utah's admittedly horrible offense to just 47 points, but the home team's offense was as clunky as someone might expect. So many missed layups and turnovers. Luckily, Joker is still half-court heave padding, so his splendid Serbian hooker hit again, +7 at the half. Second half was better. The starters made a point not to play in the fourth quarter, and in the fourth, everybody was hitting the shots. In the end, a 36-point win, and a friendly reminder never to take betting advice from me. I suggested that the plus 17 was too big of a margin for betting the Nuggets, and I was wrong. Okay, it is time to introduce my panel for today. First, one of the people I've been following for the longest in the Nuggets universe, a very dedicated general manager from the couch, and an elite Nuggets fan, calling from sunny California and the hometown of John Stamos, Tiger Woods, and Ray Martinelli. It's Ray Martinelli. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, how's it going? And this is I would not call myself a wannabe GM. I know their jobs are hard. I try to not be that guy.
Yeah, but we cannot help ourselves. Like, the season is so long, and you have those off days without games. What you're supposed to do then? The deadline is coming up, and like we need to do something with our hands, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Okay, next, from the deepest depths of sports hatred, the analytically driven connoisseur of if you're not with the Nuggets, I will find your flaws and let everybody know about them. The man that introduced me to Bojo's Pizza, it's Patrick Rasmussen. Welcome back, Pat.
Miroslav, you splendid Serbian hooker, you.
Thanks for having me. Myself. It was kind of a hook shot, wasn't it? Like it was a 60-foot floater, but it was also kind of a hook shot.
That definitely qualified, I think.
Good. I will not feel too bad about it. Okay, last but not least, you see him on these airwaves often, but everybody will tell you not often enough. He is a 5'11" with a ratchet and knows more about basketball than your dad. My Serbian brother. It's Dev Superstar Johnson. Welcome back, Dev.
Man, I do got that ratchet. I love that you had to talk about that. I'm excited to be here with you guys. We have some of the greatest Nuggets fans across the world, and I get to share it with you guys. So I'm excited.
What is your schedule for basketball games during the playoffs? Do you play as many games as normal?
Do I go to as many games?
No, I mean the pickup basketball games. Do you play this in a similar manner?
No, I have the same exact schedule every single week. I just pretty much play Saturday, Sunday. If the Nuggets don't play, which they typically do, I'll play on Fridays, but Saturday, Sundays, my pickup days.
No, good to know that your ratchet is gonna still be as ratchety as it always was.
Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't know that you were coming to Colorado in a couple of weeks. That's
19 days to be exact. So yeah, we're gonna hang around.
What is
for a week
for playoffs? Like, what is it for?
It is for the most of the first round of playoffs. I'm coming on Good Friday, April 18th, and the playoffs start on the 19th. So I will not miss game one this time around. Well, hopefully not, unless Lufthansa pilots are on a strike or something. We'll see about that. This wasn't the commercial for Lufthansa, but also it wasn't not one. Okay, guys, the Nuggets blew the Jazz away, which is not something we've seen a lot this season. But let's be frank, we haven't seen a lot of teams tanking this hard either. Do you think they gained momentum before the final Timberwolves game in the regular season? And if so, how can they keep it? Let's start with Dev here.
I think that to gain some momentum, I think that they're in a very good spot in the West. Because I've been one of the people, because you're living it every day, that feels like the Nuggets are underachieving this year, not playing that well. And then you look at the standings and you're like, okay, things aren't that bad. You know, they have an opportunity to go into the regular season with a 2 or 3 seed if they continue to win games. That's what you could ask for. Oklahoma City's having a special year. You were not going to catch, Oklahoma City. Also, if they were trying to push to get that 1 seed, that would have been scary, because we would have been on the side of saying you're overplaying guys, or you're going too hard. You're not finding times for rest, and then if you fizzle out, then it's going to be bad. So they're at prime spot to be able to get some momentum. And I think it means just beating some good teams. You have to beat Minnesota for you to have some momentum. It's not about going into there. I think that you need some marquee wins, but beating Minnesota is what you go into. So it's like, how are you feeling after the Minnesota game?
So Ray, after the Utah game, Michael Malone was asked about the Minnesota game and does he plan on resting some guys or stuff like that. He said, F no, like this is our Super Bowl. We need to show those guys we can beat them. We don't want to go 0-4 against Minnesota before the playoffs even start. Do you think this is important at this moment?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important. But, well, I guess not only psychologically, but for the standings, they want to know where they're going to be, or they want to be able to dictate who they can play, or at least get as high as they can. And the way I think it's going to shape out is the last game of the season against Houston is going to determine who gets the 2, who gets the 3. So basically, who gets home court. So, but that all has to hinge on them beating Minnesota, which I think is pretty much their Super Bowl for this regular season. So yeah, absolutely. This is a huge, huge game that I don't know if momentum is really, I hope it's there, but I don't think we'll know until the game actually happens, which is pretty scary.
Pat, do you actually gain momentum after beating such a sorry team Utah showed a couple of nights ago?
I don't know if you gain it, but it could be a continuation of momentum you already had. Problem is, I don't know if they had, all that much momentum going into that game. I do like what P-Watt's doing. I like seeing AG healthy. Jokic coming back and looking like his old form is great. It really comes, I'm going to say this a lot probably today, but it comes down to Murray. Is it a real injury, or are they thinking he's got to prove something against Minnesota and we're going to give him 5 days off? And there's a good chance of that. If that happens, I think we got a good chance of winning that game. And if we don't win it, it's going to be very discouraging for sure.
Good point.
So Dev, what do the Nuggets need to do to finally beat Minnesota tomorrow night?
Show up with some physicality. I think it's just not playing into the game plan. Minnesota, they don't actually switch a lot of things up. They're just like, we're stronger than you, or we're going to play a little bit harder than you. It's on Denver to like not back down. So I think it's big on that part of just matching them. That Minnesota team is not as good as they've been showing when they see other teams. Like when I watch Minnesota play other teams, there's like a lot of flaws. And I'm like, how is Denver not figuring that out? But it's when they have the Nuggets number, they know how to beat the Nuggets, which makes them a really good team. So I think that it's just going away from the game plan and just matching them with physicality. And then if that doesn't work, the best play that I think you could ever do is give the ball to 15.
Is it that simple, Ray? How can Denver overcome all the pressure Jamal Murray and Michael Porter get when they're playing against Minnesota?
I think that's part of it, right? Like the same strategy they had in games 3 and 4, even 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of that series was to have AG, who wasn't in the first. I don't think he's played in any of these games, has he? Maybe the first game he played against them. Did he play in that one? But anyway,
regular season, no.
Yeah, he wasn't in the last one. To have AG and Joker handle the ball more. Going back to what Pat said, though, I'm a little worried about Jokic's shot, which I think against the Timberwolves, you're going to need him to hoist up some threes and make some. They're going to give him that shot. And if he can make those, then it really there's not much Minnesota can do. But he hasn't made them in these last few times. He never got them, I think, in the last game. But yeah, getting back to that, I think a lot of this, and it's also going to be a strategy with OKC, I think, is you should have your big guys handle the ball more than your little guys, because your little guys are going to get hounded.
What do you say, Pat?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. In the playoff series, they had AG bringing it up the court, and that changed everything. And then they just completely abandoned it the last 2 games. That's going to be a huge thing, is having AJ bring it up, because he doesn't have a great defender on him.
Yeah, they have to. They don't have 5 elite defenders. No. Nobody does. So yeah, I guess somebody needs to end up with not an elite defender on them. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. Aaron Gordon doesn't have the Timberwolves don't have a great matchup against Aaron Gordon. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to see that. Dev, how do you feel about Aaron Gordon lately? Do you feel like he is close to 100%?
That's who does have some momentum for me. I was not a fan of just straight 3-point shooting that I was seeing from him, and also just like assisting, because it was just really like soft, and that's not who he is at all. And I just felt like he was playing to not get hurt. So lately, I've been seeing him be a lot more physical, like them using his size, using his strength, being able to like just be an overbearing presence. And I think that that's the difference when it comes to Aaron Gordon, is how can he create mismatches? He's stronger than so many guys in the league, and he's playing the 4 spot, at times the 5, which is a mismatch for other teams. If they're 5, he's going to be way too fast for their bigs, but also they have to stretch the floor. If he's 4, he's stronger than them, and also he's at the dunker spot, which is, I mean, we know how powerful that is with him and Jokic 2-man. So I love what I'm seeing from Aaron Gordon right now, and I love the fact that he's playing a lot more minutes than he was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Ray, Pat, just quickly, how do you feel about Joker's outside shot going forward? Are you stressed about his elbow and shoulder injuries in regards to his shot?
Go ahead, Ray.
I wasn't until he started like doing this with his wrist in that game, and I was like, oh man. I guess it might have been nothing because he didn't have a brace on or anything, or a wrap around it. I honestly don't know. I think we'll know here soon. He made his first few shots right, like in the first game back, and then this last one, he only made the ones he shouldn't have made. So I'm stressed that if he just doesn't take them, but if he takes them, I'll feel a lot better. Yeah. Wish I could see him in warmups. I don't know what he looked like in warmups.
He looks great in warmups.
Oh, there we go.
Everybody
looks like we have an insider on the show.
Every NBA player except Spencer Dinwiddie, for some reason, look great in warmups. Everybody's hitting everything except for Spence. I don't know.
It's hilarious to see the many different things that they're like working on before the game. Like some people are doing ball handling, some people are like big on stretching. There's some guys that want to show off their like how crazy they could dunk. And then there's the guys that have like a mixture of everything. Aaron Gordon's ball handling warm up, you will be shocked that he's not a guard a bit more. His ball handling, he has 2 balls. He's doing all type of like tricks that I'm sure a lot of guards aren't able to do that. Like I was watching like something that has Steph Curry can't spin the ball on his fingers, and I'm like, Aaron Gordon for sure can do that, and he's doing like with 2 balls and like Harlem Globetrotter. So it's kind of funny to see how guys look in warmups, because I would be tricked if I was a guy that was like betting off of warmups or saying who's the best player out here off of that.
I always picture Aaron Gordon as a guy with 2 balls. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's take a short break, and after that we're gonna talk about our projections for this season and what came to reality. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back. So Pat, I'm gonna start with you this time around. How would you compare where the Nuggets are right now to what you expected from them at the beginning of the season? After the off season practically ended sometime in July, based on the roster construction. I mean,
it's pretty similar, but not because I got it right. It's mostly because I had so many doubts about Jamal Murray at that time with his injuries and the way he was in the Olympics, and I knew that him and AG weren't going to be in peak shape coming into the year with their contract situations. So I knew it wasn't going to be the best season that they've ever had, but because Jokic has been who he is and the team in general has been the same team that they were before, although frustrating and with less margin for error, it's turned out pretty much the same way I thought it would. I thought they would have several more wins, but I also didn't count on Jokic missing 10 or 11 games.
So you could say that Joker is a pleasant surprise, meaning that he's even better this season than what he was in the previous 4. Ray, were there any other great pleasant surprises this season?
CB, right? I mean, I think he is way better than I thought he would be, and I thought that he would be better with the starters that KCP was, but I didn't think they would be better with the starters than KCP was numerically, and then also have such good numbers for himself. He's probably the other one. Yeah, that's actually it as far as way better. Maybe I think everybody else is pretty much as expected. Wins wise, I thought they would actually have more wins as well. I think I said 53. I was just looking it up at the beginning of the season, but they would have to pretty much go 6-1 to do that, I think now. Had you said Jokic was going to miss 12 games, is that right? Or is it something like that? Is it 12 or 10? I forget. But if you had said that, and then you said AG would miss as many as he had, I probably would have predicted like a play-in type of record. So with all that considered, I think it's pretty good. I mean, play-in is a few games lower than what we are now. So, yeah.
It's fair.
It's good.
Yeah, my prediction before the season was 57 games, and not because I was actually optimistic. It was because I thought they would have a great season and still miss the chance to break the franchise record for wins, because this is what Nuggets do. So it was a joke take. Where did you have the Nuggets before the season started, and how far do you think they've gone so far?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did a round table like heading into this season with DNVR. I can't remember where I was, but I know I was on the low end for the Nuggets, probably about 51, 52 teams or wins, maybe 50. And it wasn't because I was like very down on the Nuggets. I think it was more so I know that they were going to be smarter about how they rested players this year, because I know that was like a point of emphasis last year, was to not overwork players or put them in a spot where they're having these crazy minutes. With that being said, guys are not playing as much as they did last year, but it was not by choice. So like it becomes a bit different. Like guys are actually sitting out because they're banged up, and I felt like that was the point of resting them throughout the year so that they can't get into the spot where they're just too tired or they're banged up. So I was a little bit lower on them, but again, going back to my point in like one of the previous points is they're at a good spot. Like I do think that 2-3 seed is where they projected to be. We knew that the Thunder was going to be good last year. We did not know that Minnesota was going to shake it up in that way that they did. But we was like, okay, they'll be up there too. And then from there, it's like, okay, it's going to be Nuggets and them. And in Dallas, you always thought that Dallas was going to be there. They represented the Western Conference last year going into it. So I was like, okay, Nuggets are going to be around that 2-3 spot. So they're exactly where I'm thinking most people had them projected. It's just now about the wins and losses. But heading into the playoffs, I mean, as of right now, they look healthy and they're fighting for the 2-3 seed. So that's where you want to be.
I'm trying to remember who said it. I think it was D-Line who said that Nikola Jokic is a goldfish who will grow into the size of a bowl when needed. And he actually grew. He saw Jamal Murray wasn't ready for the start of the season, so he was putting outrageous numbers just to it wasn't to show us what he can do. It was a necessity for them to remain a playoff contender in those times. By the way, now that Jamal is doing great, Joker is down to like 25 points per game in the last couple of months, so he's just not shooting as much lately. Does this give us any sort of wisdom going forward? Like, can the Nuggets think about roster construction in a way like, yeah, sure, we can get rid of one star and let Joker score 35 a game and we will be fine again? Or is it just malpractice not to have enough bodies around him? Let's start with Pat here.
Well, real quick on Jokic not shooting as much, I think that has a lot to do with his recent three-point shooting going down too.
True.
He shoots threes a lot better when he's just more in rhythm of the game and when he's taking more shots. And he's making a conscious effort to make sure that people like MPJ and Jamal are getting going lately. But yeah, I think it really comes down to what they do in the playoffs. It's not something I've really given too much thought to yet, because everything is going to change if they don't win if they don't get to the conference finals, I think.
What do you think, Ray?
I'm going to maybe go against the grain. I really don't think anything's going to change, or not drastically, even if they have a really rough playoffs. I could be wrong, but I think that they're on a path that they had already set, and the results of this year aren't really going to matter as much to the front office as they are to the fans, us. I could be wrong on that, and Dev probably has more information, regarding that than me. But I forgot what the original question was. I was just answering Patrick. What was the question again?
Well, the question is, Joker just expanded his game as much as he needed for the Nuggets to stay afloat, and then when the cavalry came, he just took a back, not really a back seat, but one row behind what he was before that, and those are still pretty expensive seats in Ball Arena, right?
Oh,
I mean, Dev would know. He's been courtside so many times.
Yeah, courtside Dev. I think they still need to keep as many talented players around them as possible, because I really think that the load that he took at the beginning of the season has taken a toll on him on the other side of the court, and that's something that can't really happen if they're going to be contenders. And it's not just him; it's everybody. But like, it's going to start with him as far as getting a little bit more energy for defense. And so, yeah, I think the way that it's working now is good. I wish they would defend a lot better, but I think that definitely having as many scorers or people that can space it out for him, finishers, is going to be a lot better than just trying to make him do everything.
Dev, what is more important around Jokic, defense or shooting?
Yes.
That one's hard. I really do think that one's hard. I'll probably say defense, because he could make up for the offense. Like, he's such an incredible offensive player that he doesn't have to expend so much energy on that, like Ray was talking about with that load. And that's the reason that you go and get Michael Porter Jr. and overpay him possibly. That's why you go and, make sure you extend Jamal and not have him worry about that, is because, like, you have those pieces offensively, and that's what makes Denver, one of the scariest teams in the league. But with defense, we got to see that with like a KCP. Like, he overcompensates for so many things that Jokic is not having to focus on defending the entire time or having to step up on that end of the floor so much. So I think that the defense is what would be dangerous. I think that if you put Jokic around, like just Jokic and all shooters, they will be able to just score, however many points that they want. They could probably average like 130 a game. But if you put him with all defenders, you're not going to be able to beat, them. And I want that to happen. It's just not the reality. There's no team that's set up like that, just all defense with an insane score.
Yeah, I don't even call it all defense. I call it all dog. Give me 8 dogs around our beautiful Serbian center, and let's try to see what happens then. Okay, let's take one more short break, and after that, we're gonna ask some tough questions. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back. So the reason I brought both Ray and Pat on this show is because they have been the most solid defenders of Project Dynasty online. And I have to give you guys credit, because throughout the duration of this season, I was very low on Calvin Booth's decisions this summer. And I'm still not very high, but I do kind of see the vision more now that we see that Zeke Nagy can actually play NBA minutes and Jalen Pickett can actually play NBA minutes, and those guys just didn't get a fair chance in the first half of the season. So, Ray, what are the biggest strengths and what are the biggest shortcomings of Calvin Booth in his GM tenure on the Nuggets, in your
okay, in my opinion, I think that he accurately assessed the Nuggets situation right off the bat, right when he got there, and saw the roster was pretty bad. I mean, going back, and I say this all the time on Twitter, Will Barton was their 5th best player. Jeff Green was their sixth best player. Or no, sorry, Monte Morris. And then it was Jeff Green, JaMychal Green, Facu Campazzo. I must be missing somebody. Zeke. That was a roster that was not going to compete in 2022 and 2023. So not only did he add KCP, add Bruce Brown, he also drafted the replacements that they would hopefully be ready. And then he has done what I think is kind of genius, but we won't know until we see what he does with these 2031, 2032 picks. But he took the lower value picks, which are all the ones that are happening for the next 5 years. These are the ones that are going to be with Denver, or they're while Denver's still good. So they're always going to be bad picks. And he got rid of all of them for stuff that is being developed right now. And I think that's the way to do it. And then you're going to take these 2032 and beyond picks, and those are the ones that you use to get your big time trades, because they're going to be Denver's going to suck really bad then. So they're going to be worth a lot. So as far as his strengths are concerned, it appears that he really knows what he's doing in a post second apron world. We won't know that, for a while. He's also not made any of these trades. He's dodged a lot of bullets. Like KCP, I think, was actually a bullet that he dodged. If they would have kept him, he becomes a toxic contract. I mean, granted, he probably plays a little better than he's played in Orlando, but he's also 32 now, and he is on a $20 million a year contract for the next couple of years. He got rid of Will Barton right before he expired. Everybody he's gotten rid of has pretty much expired, like right after that's happened. So I feel like he's pretty good at dodging these bullets, even though a lot of other fans will say that he's the one that's pulling the trigger, because I don't see it that way. As far as his weaknesses, I was thinking about this when you were talking about it. I think that he obviously comes off in a way that is off-putting to some people, and it would probably be off-putting to me if I already didn't like him. And him and Mike Malone do not appear to be on the same page, and I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it's the publicity of it seems to be pretty bad. Like, it just doesn't do well with fans.
You did this so marvelously. First note, you're not the couch GM. Come on, man. You've done your homework really well. Second of all, the shortcomings. You said it like, my biggest flaw is probably I'm too hardworking. He's kind of off-putting, but other than that, he's just perfect. Maybe Pat will give us some more shortcomings, and of course, Pat, please do with the strengths as well.
Well, one of his main problems, he's just too handsome. That's always been an issue for him. But seriously, Ray mentioned a lot of things that I wasn't actually even going to, but I agree with, so that's good. What I was going to say is, first of all, he's an elite talent evaluator, and that's something nobody can argue with his draft results, especially drafting where they have been. And on top of that, the other thing kind of goes with it is there are so many people that will go out of their way and spend money and resources to make other people think that they don't give a damn. He genuinely does not give a damn what anybody thinks. And that's a strength for a GM of $1 billion team, I think, especially when you have the best player in the world. You don't want somebody that's not going to have conviction. He definitely has conviction. He's not going to go into draft night and play around with the game and trade down to see if you can get a guy later in the draft and then miss out on him. He's going to make that pick way earlier than anyone else would. He's going to get his guy, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out. That's on top of what Ray said. That's basically my view on it. As far as shortcomings, he's definitely not good with media. But as a fan, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that because I want them to keep things closer to their vest so that they can get away with more stuff. But I also really appreciate the candor, and I like to hear as much information as I can. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship with that.
So Dev, you are media. I don't think he's bad with media. He's amazing with media. He gives us everything.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll go into that since it's already on the shortcomings part. Just to double down on what Pat is talking about is his honesty could be off-putting to people that really don't understand or know it. And he's very open to where he's not thinking about how this could land for the audience. So like how this could affect the team, how this could affect a specific player when he's like open about what's happening, or even the relationship with the coach. If he's calling out specific things that he feels that they should be doing that they're not doing, that's calling out a person. And I don't think that I wouldn't say he lacks empathy, but like it's that he's not empathetic in those situations where he's thinking about how this could affect other people, which, I mean, he's the GM of a team. Like everything should be about how does this affect Jokic, or how does this affect, like the whole team. So that is certainly a shortcoming. I think he needs a PR guy or someone that is speaking for him in these situations, or at least he's talking about like, how can I make this sound better? It's the reason that a lot of people like myself have Chat GPT. I want to change what I'm saying exactly how I wanted to say what I'm saying, but I want to say it in a nicer way. How do you do that? He needs that portion of it. That's the shortcomings. When it comes to his strengths, like they've already talked about, I think that he understands, like he looks into the future and says, this is going to affect us later. So like, I have to make a decision right now, so we're not thinking about it later. He's not explaining to you why, or the reason why. So you're not understanding at the time. And that's why a lot of these decisions that he's made, we have to, wait a year or two to see if it actually comes into fruition. He also is really good about looking at the league and saying, we have to adapt. We have to, change what's happening to go to the league. So the league has been getting younger. The Nuggets were a team that had a lot of older guys. He's like, no, we're going to draft all young guys, which the Nuggets have not done, and we're going to play those guys. You have no choice but to play those guys. We're seeing Zeke, we're seeing Jalen Pickett now because guys got hurt. If he would have had old guys on there, Malone would have been forced to be playing the old guys. Justin Holiday would still be playing right now. A lot of minutes. A lot of the older players would still be playing. We see DeAndre Jordan still alive. He made it so that you have no choice. You're going to play these young guys because I think that they're good. And now we're starting to see like, oh, now I understand. So I think that that's like a strength of his, is like adapting to the league.
Mike Singer, Ramona Shelburne 2 or 3 months ago wrote an article where she mentioned that Boot is up for a extension really soon, but that hasn't happened so far. Do you think these playoffs are kind of like a referendum on Calvin Booth by the Nuggets ownership group? Dev?
If you're asking me, then I think that Calvin Booth should be doing everything in his power to get an extension right now. Him and Michael Malone should both be on different lines, calling nonstop to say, is this happening? Because you don't want to have to wait and see. You want to already have something in the back that you're thinking about, like, hey, making the direction. Because let's say that they do lose and you have to make a choice or make a decision. You're placing blame, and it's going to cause like a civil war. Like you have to choose, and that's not okay. But also, I think that it puts you in a gray area of, if you're Malone, you're saying I didn't have the guys for it. If you're Booth, you say that he had the guys, but he didn't play them. So again, you're like causing that friction. But also, like, you don't want to be making decisions on what next year looks like with them still having to decide what their future is. So I really think that they should just try to knock it out and make something happen right now, especially when you're looking at the league and Taylor Jenkins gets fired right in a playoff push. Like, what? So yeah, I think that they should make something happen very soon. And it is shocking that they haven't made a decision going into this important playoff run.
So Ray, Michael Malone, I think he has only 1 year left on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
And as Dev mentioned, there might be some serious repercussions on his future on the Nuggets, depending on what will happen in these playoffs. So as Calvin Booth, I guess. How would you assess Michael Malone's season, and I guess the previous season as well? Did he have too strong, too average, or maybe underwhelming seasons from his side?
I think I would go lean.
Because I think that the clash between him and Calvin Booth started not last summer, but 2 summers ago. This is my point.
I think the clash started the moment Michael Malone got drunk and said they're going to repeat, and Bruce Brown's not going anywhere, and all this stuff that Calvin Booth probably, and I think by also when they won the title, I really do think their focus changed. Like went from a team that might try to go all in quickly to somebody that's like, let's wait this out now. Let's try to get a sustainability type team or a sustainable team. But and that was Booth's plan. And then Mike Malone is saying we're going to win it all next year. We're going to repeat dynasty. I think he even mentioned that. That's the biggest issue I've had with him, because I feel like he has treated every year and every rotation like that's the goal. Like the goal is to win it all this year at all costs. And the at all costs part is development to an extent. And I think that I don't want to blame him too much on this, because he is a coach. He's coaching to win the games. But there are some things that I just found, like I just had a hard time forgiving. One of the things was Peyton Watson last year, his treatment in the playoffs, where I felt like he was pretty good in the first round. And then he had like one bad stint in Minnesota, or was it game one? Never played again until garbage time. And that's like a player that you really want to like see what he has, or at least get him that experience. He ended up not getting it. They gave the experience to, Justin Holiday, and he was good, but at the same time, I don't know, that just didn't set well with me. I think he's been better this year. I think let's say maybe he hasn't been better, but when guys have gotten hurt, the young guys have played. He could have, leaned on other things, and maybe they, tried to get somebody in free agency to replace, I forgot who Zeke really started replacing, but I guess it was when AG and P-Watt were both hurt. But, that's been good. So I would put him at just slightly disappointing. And I have some big faults that I've always had issues with, but that doesn't nearly outweigh the good, in my opinion.
So, Pat, was Michael Malone more creative because he didn't have Justin Holiday on the bench, or do you feel he actually evolved in some manner this season?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the question. He's 100% been more creative this year, which is not something that I would say comes naturally to him. I just don't know how much of it is him and how much of it is the fact that there is no Justin Holiday or Lonnie Walker or Andre Drummond on the squad, because P-Watt would be losing out minutes. That's the main one that I didn't want to have. Strother, I figured he would lose some minutes if we had a vet, and there was no way that Jalen Pickett would be playing, but P-Watt has to get minutes. And I think Booth kind of saw that, and he made sure that he was going to this year if he was healthy.
Dev, how do you feel about Michael Malone's season? Because I'm kind of split on him. Like, I really appreciate some lineups we've seen from him and some creativity when it comes to staggering different guys this season. But at the same time, can you forgive him for not giving? Is it fair to say he didn't give a fair chance to Jalen Pickett and Zeke Naji early in the season?
I think yes and no. I think that he gave them opportunities. Sometimes they didn't show. Also, he had some grounds to go off of. There was bad times from Zeke Naji and Jalen Pickett last year. At times, maybe they were out of position, but then he put them in a position. I do think that there has been emphasis to at least say, let's just try it. And Malone has been a little bit more open to let's just try it this year. And there's been some success, and he's actually went through with it. I think where you can see the biggest change for him is through the media. When one of those guys plays well, he actually openly talks about how they're playing well. It's not like one of those backhanded compliments or just making it like he's just like, hey, they're playing well. I'm going to give them minutes. I'm going to give them chances and opportunities, especially when it comes to Jalen Pickett. He was way, way, way outside of the doghouse. Yeah. They had him chained to the fence, and the doghouse was on the other side of the yard. And that's just how it was for him. But he has been given him minutes, and he's been showing up. So he's like, I'm going to give him more minutes because he's earned that. And I think that that's been a change for Malone. Also, I think a lot of times people say that there's no adjustments for Malone, and maybe because it's small adjustments here and there. But I do think that there has been adjustments, how he's coaching, how he's adapting to other teams. He's now tinkering the starting lineups. I thought he would never go off of Russell Westbrook not starting when, one of the guys are down, because he likes those old familiarity type of players that he's like, no, I'm going to go with this because this is what I'm used to. We've seen Peyton Watson start, and we were very shocked at Peyton Watson starting that last game. That's like showing that he's changing. So I do think that there's like an openness and a willingness to say, let's give it a try that we hadn't seen before.
That was all dog around
yeah,
Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter last night. And you know what? When it's that kind of situation, Michael Porter looks more competent on defense as well. When he's not the one who's supposed to cover for anybody, I guess. You are all my friends, so I'm gonna do something that friends don't do to each other. I'm gonna put a gun to your head and ask you, if you have a gun to your head, who do you expect to remain on the Nuggets next season between Michael Porter? Between Michael Malone and Calvin Booth? Do you expect both back? One of them back? Neither back? And let's say it's because the Nuggets lost in the second round.
Let me go first because I think about this being like Russian roulette. And so I want to make sure that like if the bullet goes off, like you guys are already done, or I'll say both. I think both return. I do think that there has been like work at them coming together a bit more throughout the year. That's not me saying that I know anything. That's just like what it looks like to me from the outside without asking questions. And also, I do think that there's like they know who the roster is. There might be a tweak or two here. Like there's gonna be like Dario Saric is not gonna be there. I expect Russell Westbrook to get a bigger contract, so he should go somewhere. So like there's changes that are going to be made. I think Booth is willing to make those changes. I think Michael Malone's going to say, okay, well, let me get some leeway on that or like make a decision there. So I do think that they're starting to align and get on the same page, which I think the front office and Kroenkes are like okay with. So I'll say both for me.
Okay, Ray, before you answer, remember that Calvin Booth is a free agent next season, and Michael Malone has a hefty wage for next season. Maybe that influences your prediction.
Maybe it should, but I'm still going to agree with Dev and say both. And the reason being is I think that this is a plan that this is like an acceptable result. Even a second round exit is an acceptable result for the plan that likely Booth and the Kroenkes or Josh have put into play with going young. Like if they really did expect second and third year players to be like big time contributors and to, for Jamal Murray, or actually let's say Michael Porter Jr. to become the player that he was previously, or for AG not to be hurt, or Jamal for, not to be hurt, and those don't work out for them, I don't see how they're going to just say, it's a Calvin Booth problem, unless they just feel like, I mean, if they do, it would worry me. Like that's when I would start thinking, oh, are these guys the Phoenix Suns? Are they the Lakers? Are they these other franchises that are just like, I'm hurting, I need to make a change, as opposed to like, let's look at why this all happened.
So by the way,
yeah.
By the way, losing in the second round for the second straight year, I hate to say this because I'm always for aiming at the very top. But if you look at the last 5 or 6 years, teams that won championships, they usually lost in the second round the following year, lost in the first round in the following year, and then were completely out of playoffs by the year 3, which is pretty damning. Having said that, Pat, what is your prediction?
Well, I think I disagree a little bit. I think if they don't get at least to conference finals, one of the two is gone. I don't know which one it is because as loose-lipped as Booth is about everything, is as tight-lipped as the Kroenkes are. So I really don't know. I think that they would align with Booth more than Malone, but it's what you brought up, the fact that they're going to have to pay, and they're the cheapest owners in the entire league. There's no question about that. So I don't know if they want to pay Malone and
Memphis Grizzlies owners would like the word.
There are others, but they're one of them for sure.
Those guys are cheap. Okay, my prediction is I don't have a prediction. I just if they are out in the second round, and I have to endure another year of this arm wrestling match between the two. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's gonna be tough for me. But let's take a short break, and after that, we're gonna try to be a bit more optimistic. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, I like arm wrestling. It's something I do with my youngest boy, who is almost 7 now, and he beats me all the time. He doesn't understand that I'm actually letting him beat me. So yeah, at some point I'm going to have to put more reality into his life. I'm not sure
I
what's
think
the right.
that's you're playing a risky game, because like if there's intruders or any type of danger, he knows he's the strongest person in the family. So he doesn't think that you're strong enough to stop what's happening. You put him in a rough spot.
Move away, Dad. Move away, Dad. Okay, guys, tell me what needs to happen, and is there anything that can realistically occur for the Nuggets to become the championship favorite again this or next season? Let's expand it to next season as well. Let's start with the Dev this time around.
You're saying what has to happen from now?
What has to happen for the Nuggets to become OKC level contender this or next season?
They have to win the championship. I mean, like they would have to blow some teams out and play defense. Like it would have to be back to them putting together full games, because like really we all know how good they are offensively. But being able to lock teams down in the playoffs defensively, close out series, not trying to like see who it is that they could play, and then not having teams that are just able to go with the Jokic rules like that. That should not be successful for a team in the playoffs. When they do that, Denver has to be ready to adjust and punish every single time, so that you go right back to the idea of what do we do with this guy. How do we slow down Jamal? Like everybody knows it's like all linked to Jamal. How do we get Jokic to slow down? But also, is Jamal still playing at this level in the playoffs? Is he back?
What do you think, Pat?
Well, if it's a perception issue, that's different than the reality of it to me anyway. Because I think a lot of it is people are anointing OKC as champions, and they've never been to the conference finals yet. So perception is that OKC already won this thing, when Boston's going to have something to say about that in Denver. I would pick either of those teams over OKC or Cleveland at this point. But that's not where the money is in Vegas on this right now. The Nuggets are definitely not somebody people are talking about winning. I don't have faith that they're the best team, but I think they're right there with the top 2 or 3 of them. And so I think things are going to change in the offseason if they lose, but I don't think it's going to shake up the core at all.
So is there a move in the offseason that would make you, or maybe not you, but make the wide audience more certain of Nuggets' chances next season?
Yeah, if they get Lonnie Walker the 4th. No, I'm just joking.
I was about to say, I was like, wait a minute.
No, I think if we don't end up in the conference championship this year, I think the way to go is you're going to have to break up Michael Porter Jr. into 2 players, and they both have to be very good players. But I have faith that they're going to get that far or more. I was really a big proponent of the DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan Bogdanovic trade for Michael Porter Jr., but that was never going to happen. So it's just a lot more difficult to do things like that than it used to be in the old CBA.
Ray, I don't think you, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think you have a lot of faith in Nuggets doing something radical next season, which would put them over the top. You're still aiming for that 2026 summer?
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain that in a second. But I do think there is a way that they can be the favorites next year going into and during the season. And that would be if they somehow won the championship this year. Because if they did, then all of a sudden, OKC could win 70 games, and people would be like, screw them. They're going to lose again. You know, Denver's just messing around. But that's the only way I think that they would be the favorite next year. They could get, KD for MPJ straight up and not be the favorites next year. There's nothing that they could do there. The reason, though, why I keep on saying I think 2026 is the year is because right now Michael Porter Jr. has a lower value than he will at that time, or in 2025 offseason, he's going to be valued at less. He'll have 1 year left on his contract. Then you have your 2026 draft pick opening up. Then you'd have to actually send it out on draft night, I believe. And then you have 2033 draft pick would be open then too. So that gives you 2023 or 2033, 2032 swap, 2031 and 2026 that are available. And those first three are like high dollar, or high value assets. Right now, I don't know what they would get for Michael Porter Jr. I don't think they could get anything for him. They would have to take something back. They could get a better player on a worse deal or a worse player on a better deal. But I don't think they can get, a better wise. They can't get much better talent wise. So that's why I say just don't do much this offseason, because you can't.
I'm just trying to figure out what's the price on dogs who are not zeros on offense. Let's not just be Shaq Harrison, just a notch above Shaq Harrison. And I think you're probably talking about guys like that. Like if you could change Michael Porter with a couple of guys who are like shaky shooters, like 35% shooters from the outside, but there's still two of them, and maybe they combine for a couple $1 million less than what Michael's current contract is. Yeah, that's probably one of the moves. Before we go, I'm really enjoying Jamal Murray's play since New Year's. He's been awesome. I've been watching so many of his highlights. Some of those tough shots. I think it's like him and Kyrie. I don't know. Like Kevin Durant doesn't count because he can shoot above anybody. But what the hell, Jamal? He's been so awesome. Yet there's this really stupid stat that is giving me a lot of headache. Jamal has missed only 10 games this season, which is great. He's already at 65. What would you guess is the Nuggets' record without Jamal this season? 10 games.
2-8.
Yeah, I know this, but that's because you already sent it to me.
Yeah, you already said it. 8-2.
I know it's pretty high because it was that stretch where Russell Westbrook fans came out to talk about how good he was. Like they were undefeated for a long time.
Yeah.
It was the stretch that they won like 8 games in a row or something. So it's probably like 8-2 or something like that, or 9-2 or something.
Exactly. That's amazing. So for the whole season we said this team is not deep enough. Yet they lose their second best player and somehow find a way to win 80% of the games without him. That's strange. I don't think that has any implications on future roster building, but it's not nothing. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you want to promote anything before we go?
Yeah, one thing. I always got something I want to promote.
Yep.
April 24th, everybody go to IMAX theaters and go see Pink Floyd, 1971, live in Pompeii, playing in the ruins of a Roman amphitheater that was ruined by the Mountain Vesuvius. It's the best concert footage you'll ever watch, and it's restored, and everything is much better now. It's on April 24th and April 27th only, so go check that out.
With that being said, I know that I have a Pink Floyd shirt just to piss off D-Line. So I'm going to wear that shirt on April 24th for the 27th.
Please do, and I know you rock to that song "Money," so that's good.
See, you got to remind me. I definitely want to put it on one of those.
You do.
Dev, do you have something ready for us for playoffs, like the Nuggets jeans we had a couple of years ago?
Those are special moments. When the Nuggets have a special moment, I'm going to always answer the call. So they got to be special this year. It's not me. It's the Nuggets. They're the ones that bring us all together. They're the ones that make this all worth it. So if they give us moments, I'm sure everybody's going to have something that they bring out. Ray's going to have something. I already know Pat's going to be bringing it. I'm very shocked about how calm and demure he was in this, because that man is a pest online. I'm glad that he's on my side. I'm glad that he is my boy.
I'm at war with the entire state of Oklahoma right now on Twitter.
I just feel so bad about the entire state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, all 60 of them.
If the Thunder does not go to the Western Conference Finals, oh my God, Pat is going to have a field day. Even if the Nuggets somehow fall out of playoff contention completely, like it wouldn't matter. Okay, guys, that's all I've prepared for you, my dear listener, and please, with a cherry on top, take the word prepared very loosely. Be well, be safe, be kind to everybody. Call your mom, and until next week, Jeff Green.